Hello and welcome to the Any Art Netty baking channel. Now in this video I'm going to be making a cherry bakewell. There's the recipe that you can print off in the description below. So first off we're going to weigh out 300 grams of plain flour. Now do leave a bit for dusting. I'm just going to sieve that into the bowl there to make sure it's nice and smooth. You can do that a few times if you want to. So you can make this gluten-free as well, but I'm not so sure about vegan, so I'm going to do a bit more research on that. The next bit is 150 grams of chilled butter. Now that has to be as chilled as you can get it, and we're going to chop that into 2cm cubes, just small cubes, and add them into the flour. I've also got on standby for the next stage 5 tablespoons of ice cold water, but we don't need that at this minute. Just make sure you've got it nearby. Make sure you've got nice cold hands as well. This is going to be the pastry case that we're going to make for our bakewell tart, cherry bakewell tart. So what you need to do, we've weighed it, we've sieved it, we've cut the butter into chunks, and you're going to scoop up that butter now and make sure that all those cubes are coated and rubbed into the flour. First off, I'd make sure that all the butter's got a good coating of flour on it, and continue to do that until it resembles breadcrumbs. I will show a close-up of that so you can see what you need it to look like exactly. So again, make sure you've got nice cold hands, because that will help, because as soon as you've made that pastry you need to put it in the fridge. And what I'd recommend as well is maybe chill that for as long as you can, preferably if you can for 24 hours. That will be fantastic. So just keep doing that. It should take about 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, something like that. It's not a really lengthy process to make a short crust pastry. So it should look something like this, hopefully. Fingers crossed for you. That's only the second time I've made pastry, so anyone could do that. So we're going to add this ice cold water and mix it with a knife into your pastry, your breadcrumbs, and keep doing that. Don't do too much. I do like maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon at a time, so you can make sure you don't put too much water in. You want to do that until all the breadcrumb is freed from the side of the bowl. And when you've done that, I find a knife is better for some reason rather than a spoon, because it tends to stick to the spoon too much, and the knife is just that right thing to mix it with. So we're going to knead that now together, and once you've kneaded it, you're going to wrap it tightly in cling film, and that's when you'll chill it for as long as you can, and preferably, you know, a day or overnight, a day before or overnight. So I'm making some jam from scratch now as well. I would highly recommend using frozen cherries, but I used 150 grams of fresh cherries here, but if you want to use 150 grams of frozen, and you can either use 100 grams of caster sugar. I used a jam sugar which has got pectin in it. You can use shop bought if you want to. If you haven't got enough time for that, that's no worries at all. So I'm just doing this while the case is baking. You can pre-bake it in the oven with some baking beads for about 10 minutes, something like that, to make sure that it's pre-baked, otherwise it's gonna be all soggy. So we've got that jam coming to the boil now. I'm using a jam thermometer which I got for Christmas, and we're gonna make sure that that gets to 100, because that's its optimum level, and that's when it's gonna start to set and become nice and jammy, to be able to put a nice jam layer just on the bottom of your pastry case. So So you got to stir that regularly, and it should become thick. You'll know when you're on your way then. If you've gone wrong for whatever reason, you can start again, there's no worries there at all. If you haven't got a thermometer, I'll link you to a video there, top right hand corner, I think, and that will show you how I make jam. Again, I'm only a newbie to this, but I just thought I'd like to maybe start a series of cooking. I'm just a home baker, I enjoy cooking, and hopefully we can share tips together, and it'd be nice to see what other people do. So while that jam is setting, while the pastry's baking, I thought I'd have a lovely cup of coffee. So there we go, in my Del Boy mug. Just nice for a chill, just while you're waiting for everything to come together. And one for my lovely partner too. So next we're going to make the filling, and that's a frangipan. You need 200 grams of softened, and it should be unsalted butter, 200 grams of caster sugar. I used 3 duck eggs, but I think up to 4 medium chicken eggs. Make sure that you add them one at a time so you don't add too many, and 200 grams of ground almonds, and I just whisked that all together. It was as simple as that, you can't go wrong. Now that pastry case isn't the best one you've ever seen in the world, but that's something I'll hopefully improve on. So I'm just going to add that jam to that bottom layer there. I've preheated my oven to 160 degrees Celsius, or that's 160 if you've got a fan oven or gas 4. I greased that tin with butter just very lightly and rolled out the pastry to about 3 mil thick. And you can trim the edges, but what I make sure top tip is to leave a centimetre overhanging over the edge, because it will kind of shrink when it's pre-baking, and to prick the base with a fork as well. And before I actually put it in the oven, I chilled it in the fridge for 15 minutes, and then there's some extra pastry as well, which I put in the freezer for another time. What should we use? Greaseproof paper, baking beans in the tin, and after you've done the baking beans, take them out and bake it for another 10 minutes. It should be pale but obviously cooked. So I'm just adding that frangipan now on top of the jam layer. So mix butter, sugar to form a paste. It forms almost a paste, and I'm going to make sure I do my plastering job there so it's nice and even. And the next bit to do is to add chopped almonds, flaked almonds, just for decoration, and they do taste nice on just for an extra bit of almondy flavour. Just a nice even layer of them. I'd say just a handful of them really, and I bake that for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It should be springy and golden, and that custard should be cooked right through. It's very, very simple to make. If you make pastry from scratch, that's the only bit really that's a little bit tricky, but if you use a shop bought short crust pastry, I'm sure that's going to go a lot easier. And this is what it looked like. So if you do make it, let me know, or if you've got any tips or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you again in the next video. Bye for now.